Have you ever started a writing project only to get stuck at the halfway point? Have you reached a place in your novel where you can't possibly see how you're going to undo the complex knots that you've tied? Well, firstly, welcome to the club. I'm facing exactly this problem with my current book, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you how I get through writer's block, and hopefully some of these ideas will help you as well. For the purposes of this video, when I'm talking about writer's block, I'm not referring to a fear of the blank page, or those forces that often keep new writers from starting to write a new book. I've got a bunch of videos on this channel that deal with starting a new novel, so feel free to check those out if you need some help. The focus of this video is going to be on getting past a point in your writing where the ideas have dried up and you simply can't find your way past a certain point in the story. This might be at the first draft stage of your novel, or it could be while you're building out a detailed outline for the book. Typically at this point, the problem isn't words, it's ideas. It's not that you've got nothing to write, the problem is that you don't know how to get past a certain point in your story. You're searching for that one idea or maybe a key plot point that will clear a path to your story's conclusion, or at least get you out of your current dead end. So here are some of the tools I usually use to push past writer's block. I'm currently writing book 5 in the Seven Hungers series. It's an urban fantasy horror series focusing on an investigative sorcerer and his companions who are caught up in world-ending events and facing titanic supernatural forces. Lots of twists and turns, tons of action, horror elements, and a healthy dose of fun. The trick is I also need to raise the stakes from my last novel and present readers with something new and exciting. At this point, I've written around 40,000 words and I'm trying to find a path to a viable conclusion for the novel. So let's get to it! Technique 1. Just keep writing. It might seem counterproductive, but each day when I sit down to write, no matter how blocked my ideas are, I still write every single day. I might not be writing as freely or as much as I'd like, but it's important to keep the daily habit of writing going and progress the book, even if that means only a sentence or two each day. Now, this might not work for everyone, but for me, I need to keep moving. Often, while forcing myself to write these few sentences each day, I'll come across an idea which will help me get past my story blockage. Sometimes I might get a chapter out of it, sometimes more, but the key is to keep writing. It doesn't actually matter what I write. It could be story ideas, character dialogue, anything. It's amazing just how often going through the practice of writing frees up ideas and gets me through that block. Technique 2. Questions and answers. Another way to push through writer's block is to write down all the questions that need answering and then start working your way through the answers one by one. Draw connections between points, try a bunch of different options and see what works. Ask questions from a writer's perspective, but also from your character's perspective. Think about what your reader would most want to know at this point in the story and try to answer those questions. Sometimes all it takes to give you clarity is just voicing the questions that your story has raised. Technique 3. Map it out. The most common way I work through writer's block is to map out my story from the very beginning using pen and paper. Even if I already have an outline for the book, I'll start outlining from scratch, pinpointing the key plot elements and story movements, writing notes and jotting down ideas until I get to my current place in the story. Often just replotting my story will be enough to dislodge the block and get the ideas flowing again. But if not, I just keep outlining. I'll write down 3 or 4 different options, get rid of some ideas, push ahead with others, and essentially brainstorm until I can land on something that might work. Once I find something interesting, I'll start plotting out a new section of my outline and keep pushing ahead until I run out of steam. 99 times out of 100, this will do the trick. Somewhere between plotting out the existing structure of my novel and exploring new ideas, I'll begin to explore the new section of my novel and sometimes even lock in that final moment in my story. Technique 4. Shift focus. Sometimes the best thing to do when your ideas are blocked is take a break. Focus on another project for a while. Go for a walk and daydream. Play guitar, rearrange your garage. Find something else to focus on for a while and give your mind a break from the stress of trying to work through your novel blocker. Whether you're consciously focusing on it or not, your brain will still be mulling over your story, and a little time focused elsewhere might be just what you need to unlock your next great idea. Technique 5. Flood your senses. If ideas are what you're lacking, sometimes the best thing to do is flood yourself with as much stimuli as you can handle. Watch your favorite movies, read books, travel to new places and gather new experiences. You never know where inspiration will spring from, and often one idea will spark another. A new experience might allow you to view your story in a fresh light and present options that get you out of your current blocker. Flood yourself with creative ideas and experiences and keep an open mind for when inspiration strikes. Technique 6. Talk it through. Explaining your novel to a friend is a great way to work through writer's block. The act of having to clearly articulate your characters, key plot points, and the essential struggle and conflict of your novel to someone else will help you get a better handle on the story yourself. The key here is to encourage questions. Don't lecture your friend. Prompt them to ask questions and interrupt, because answering those questions and thinking through plot inconsistencies, assumptions, and the like will help you immeasurably. When you eventually arrive at your current conundrum, start bouncing ideas off one another. Sometimes an outside perspective is just what you need to find inspiration inspiration because you're so bogged down in your narrative world that you can't see the proverbial wood for the trees. Hopefully some of those ideas will help you break through writer's block. In my case, I spent 30 minutes mapping out the story of my book so far, and hey presto, I found it. The idea that will take me from my current blocker to the concluding section of my book. Now, if you want to know how to discover your writing voice, check this out.